You know, we interact with AI literally all the time, right? Most of the time, we don't even think about it. But what if it's doing more than just, helping us out? What if it's actually shaping our decisions? Today, we're going to dive into how these systems are already guiding our choices in ways we might not even see, and what that really means for our freedom. So let's kick things off with a story. Picture this. Meet Tom. He's a gig driver, he's just pulled a 10-hour shift, and he is absolutely exhausted. He's ready to call it a night. But just as he's about to log off, his phone pings with this message. Now, here's the thing Tom doesn't know. This isn't just some friendly reminder. Oh no, it's a perfectly calculated nudge from an AI. It's analyzed his patterns, it knows his money goals, and it picked the exact second to send this message to trigger something called loss aversion. You know, that powerful feeling in our gut that hates the idea of losing something more than it loves the idea of gaining something. So, even though he's dead tired, he stays out, he keeps driving. And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. Is this AI just being helpful, giving Tom a little boost? Or is this something else? A kind of hidden hand, subtly pulling the strings to make sure the company's goals come before his own well-being. And look, this isn't just about gig workers. This kind of subtle influence is, well, it's everywhere. It's a part of pretty much every digital thing we do. I mean, think about it. Your email client suggesting when you should reply. Your calendar finding the optimal time for a meeting. Or how about Netflix changing the movie poster it shows you specifically based on what it thinks will make you click? E-commerce sites rearranging products just for you. And of course, the big one, the social media feed that literally curates reality to keep you scrolling. They're all tiny algorithmic nudges. Believe it or not, there's a name for this whole strategy. It's called choice architecture. It's all about deliberately designing the environment where you make a choice to gently guide you towards a certain outcome. Think of it like a cafeteria manager who puts the healthy fruit salad right at eye level and the chocolate cake way off to the side. Yeah, you can still grab the cake, but they've made the salad the easier, more obvious choice. Well, AI has basically put that idea on steroids, creating these personalized choice environments for millions of us, all at the same time. Okay, so if these nudges are shaping what we buy and what we watch, what happens when they get applied to something with much higher stakes, like our jobs? And this brings us to a really powerful idea, the invisible cage. So what on earth is this invisible cage? Well, imagine a system of control where the rules aren't written down in some employee handbook. Instead, they're coded into algorithms. And these algorithms are totally opaque. You have no idea how they work. They're always changing, so the thing that got you a good gig yesterday might get you nothing today. And most importantly, they control your ability to even get work in the first place, all without any explanation or any way to fight back. The whole idea behind it is something called dynamic opacity, which is really just a fancy way of saying it's designed to be confusing and always changing. And what's the result? Well, the company gets exactly what it wants, predictability. It knows how its workforce is going to behave. But for the worker, life becomes completely unpredictable. You never know what the system wants from you. And this whole thing is held up by secret data collection and constant algorithmic experiments being run on you, the worker. I mean, just look at the difference here. It's night and day. On the left, you've got traditional human management. Yeah, it has its flaws for sure, but there's room for things like context and empathy. On the right, you have algorithmic management. Things like mentoring get tossed out in favor of cold, hard data points. Feedback isn't a conversation, it's constant surveillance. And the goal is no longer about building a team, it's about squeezing every last drop of performance out of each individual. And the psychological effect of all this, it's huge. It creates something researchers call a digital panopticon. Now, the original panopticon was this idea for a prison where a single guard could see every prisoner, but the prisoners never knew if they were actually being watched at any given moment. Just the feeling of being watched was enough to keep them in line. Well, in the digital version, that constant feeling of being monitored by an algorithm, it can just crush the very things that make us good at our jobs, our creativity, our willingness to take a risk, or even just speak up. So you have to ask, why? Why is this happening? To really get that, we need to zoom out a bit from just the workplace and look at the huge economic system that's actually building this whole architecture of control. It all comes down to an economic engine called surveillance capitalism. At its core, it's a system that's all about collecting our personal data on a massive scale, our clicks, our likes, where we go, what we say, and turning it all into a product. That data is then used to predict what we're going to do next. And those predictions, they get sold to other businesses that want a guaranteed customer. But this is where things take a really wild turn.
See, the best way to make a perfect prediction is to guarantee the outcome. So the goal isn't just to predict the future anymore. The goal is to make the future happen. This is what the scholar Shoshana Zuboff calls the prediction imperative. These systems aren't just passive observers. They are designed to reach out and actually intervene in the real world to make damn sure we do what they predicted we would.
So how do they actually do it? Well, it boils down to 3 key moves. First, there's tuning. That's all the subtle stuff we talked about, the little nudges and cues. Second is herding. This is a lot more forceful. This is about designing a situation where certain choices are just off the table. Think about an insurance company that could remotely shut off your car if you're late on a payment. And third, there's conditioning, which is basically using little digital rewards like data pellets to train us to repeat the behaviors that make the most money for the platform.
And listen to this quote from a software developer working on this stuff. We are learning how to write the music, and then we let the music make them dance. I mean, it doesn't get much clearer than that, does it? This isn't some accident. It is the explicit goal. The system writes the song, and we're just supposed to dance to it.
So, when you step back and you look at the big picture, you've got this invisible cage at work and this massive architecture of control all around us, you end up with a really big, really serious consequence. Let's call it the freedom paradox. And here's the paradox. On one hand, the world feels unbelievably convenient, right? We get stuff delivered in an hour, we get perfect recommendations, everything is optimized, but just under that shiny, frictionless surface, the actual range of choices we have is getting smaller and smaller. We are trading our autonomy, our freedom to choose, for efficiency. And a lot of the time, we don't even know we're making that trade. And don't think for a second this is some minor influence. It is shockingly powerful. Get this, studies have shown that just by messing with the ranking of search results, you can shift the voting preferences of undecided voters by more than 20%. And here's the scariest part, the people in the study had no idea they were being influenced at all. And this, right here, is the core of the problem. It's a massive power imbalance. In this new world, we're losing some of the most fundamental rights you need for a free society. The right to know what's being done to us, the right to decide who gets to see our private information, and maybe the most important one, the right to decide who gets to make the decisions that shape our lives. So, is this it? Is this our future? A super convenient, perfectly efficient, totally controlled world? Well, not necessarily. This isn't written in stone. The future is being decided by the choices we all make right now. The good news is, people are starting to push back. We're seeing some really powerful responses pop up. You've got major regulations like the EU's AI Act that are trying to ban these kinds of manipulative systems. You have growing demands for accountability, for the right to look inside that black box, for contestability, the right to actually challenge the algorithm's decision. And we're even seeing cool alternatives spring up, like platforms owned by the workers themselves that put people ahead of profits. Which leaves us with this one last really critical question. It's totally possible we're headed for a world that's safer, more efficient, and more orderly. A world where AI guides us, supposedly for our own good. In that world, we would probably feel free. But our choices would be silently and invisibly fenced in by algorithms. So I want to leave you with this to think about. If your freedom is perfectly managed, if the cage is comfortable,